Pearl Harbor, the Cold War, 9/11, and now the coronavirus. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Brokaw takes a look at today's national emergency through the prism of the past and why U.S. leaders throughout history seem to keep missing key warning signs.
I've been a journalist since 1962. You do the arithmetic. That's a long time. I've seen a lot of change in this country, and I've been a student of our history as well. And one of the enduring things that I'll always take away from my experience and the experience of America is how we were not prepared for the obvious, beginning with Pearl Harbor. Everyone knew that the Japanese were building up, but we missed that attack and had to respond to it very quickly. And then after the war, there was a great contest between the United States and the Soviet Union. We always thought we were way ahead of them technologically and otherwise, until Sputnik came along and their ICBMs. And we learned at that point that we had not paid enough attention to what they were up to. Followed by Vietnam. And that was orchestrated by all those people who were senior officers in World War II and thought they knew it all. But going against a country, fighting on its own turf for its own beliefs, and it was one of the great disasters of our lifetime. That was not the end of it, unfortunately. As we cruised along, we went through 9/11 in this country. That was described as a failure of imagination. No, it wasn't a failure of imagination. It was a failure of intelligence, of being prepared for what could happen next. We're always kind of looking at the last war. Once we got through that, of course, we thought we were cruising again. And then out there in the universe, first in China, now around the world, a virus, one of the most deadly viruses in the history of mankind. And it will not be the last one. We're going to have to prepare for this as part of our future. So I think the new heroes should be not the people who get up and make the speeches every day and sound off on television, guys like me. The new heroes are the people that you wanted to sit next to in high school biology. And those are the scientists who started the warning about this early on, the epidemiologists who were out there. And they were saying, it's coming, we've got to do something about it. But we were paying too much attention to all the other distractions. Let the good times roll. The good times have come to a screeching halt. The question is, this time, will we learn the lessons? I don't have that much time left in my life. I have grandchildren. I hope we do.
Commentary from Tom Brokaw.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.